Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nerdcast. Mark Etheridge, along with Aaron Fitt and Kendall Rogers. We got some stuff to talk about. I mean, here we are. We finally made it to tournament week after a long season. Well, was it a long season? It seems like we just started the other day. I do want to just jump right in here because we have a lot to talk about. The SEC. I mean, you've got 9 teams jumping into the host mix. You've got national seed mix. You've got the bubble. What's going on there? You got automatic bids. We're going to get to all of that over the next, 65 minutes or so. So keep in mind, this is we're projecting next week's outcome into Memorial Day. So we don't really know what's going to happen in these tournaments, but we're going to give it our best guess to estimate it. Anything else, guys, before we jump into it?
I just want to say that the D1Baseball hat looks sharp on you, Marcus.
Yeah.
You're really you're a real team player.
I got the drip. Yeah.
I just want to say that doing the postseason buzz. I was telling these guys before we came on here that doing the postseason buzz earlier today. You might want to get a cup of coffee when we get to the last couple of hosts because it may be a while.
Yeah.
Just a fair warning.
Yeah, we're going to try to stay on task, but that's a tall group, a tall order of this group. So anyway, so let's start at the top, and we won't waste a lot of time. It's Wake Forest, and then moving on. I think I'm going Florida next. What about you guys?
I'd agree.
Yep,
100%.
20 and 10 in the SEC, and got in that top 5 in the RPI, which had been kind of their issue for a while was the RPI. But yep, I'd agree.
Yeah, the next 2 teams are Arkansas and LSU for me, and that's my order. What do you guys think?
Arkansas 3 for sure for me.
Okay.
And I think I'm with you on LSU at 4 also. Yes.
Okay.
Kendall,
Yep. Go ahead, Kendall.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with LSU. Sorry.
So now it gets a little more, I guess, interesting for me. You have Stanford. You have Clemson, who's, can't lose apparently.
Right.
they're like Parker Lewis.
Yeah. There's a poll from way back. And then maybe my case for Vandy here too. So really those are my next 3.
Yeah.
I would go Clemson, Stanford, or Stanford, Clemson.
Yeah, I still think that Stanford just dominating the Pac-12 the way they did, 23-7 in the league, winning that league, going away.
I'm good with that.
Feels like the choice here for me. 11 in the RPI, they're 4 spots behind Clemson, who's number 7. But I just think winning the league in dominant fashion that matters.
Yeah, that's the way I went too.
What's really impressive, just looking at those 2 teams, two things kind of stand out to me. The fact that Stanford's 17-7 on the road, that's really loud to me. Then Clemson, being 20 or having 21 wins against top 50 RPI teams, to me really stands out.
Whereas Stanford only has 12, so that is fewer. But I don't think that for me that doesn't outweigh the fact that Stanford won the league by 5 games in a power conference.
That's crazy, man.
You're definitely getting credit for winning the league, right? It's just a question of how much credit do you get, right, with this committee.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a difference too between like just winning your league and just running away with it.
Yeah.
I think it's like a double whammy.
And when it's a good league, right? Because we can get into this, but a lot of teams can run away with the 10th, 11th best league, and they're finishing in the middle of their conference. So this is different, right? Yep. This is okay. So then
Vanderbilt.
I think Vandy is number 7 for me.
I would agree. Yep. And I think we all probably like Virginia at 8.
Virginia is 8. The only other teams to talk about for me would be Kentucky and Coastal. They would be the next 2 for me.
Yeah. And I would just want to say too, we talked about this offline, and I mentioned this in the postseason buzz, but I think would you 2 agree with me at this point that we pretty much have 7 slam dunk top 8s and then 1 spot that Virginia looks pretty good, but like there's a little bit of wiggle room there with those guys?
Yeah. Most likely, Kendall, but I always hesitate to just say, hey, these are in stone, because you don't know what somebody might do in a conference tournament in that group, and there's just nine teams for 8 spots.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's say
somebody's going to fall out.
Let's say Kentucky gets to Sunday and Hoover.
Yeah.
They're number 2 in the RPI for Pete's sake.
Or Coastal jumps into the top 8 RPI.
Yeah.
Because the Sun Belt, they're going to play some good teams. So that's all possible. This is
Yeah.
not, 10 years ago Sun Belt. This is a really good league now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you though on Kentucky 9 and Coastal 10.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
Those are my next two.
Kentucky 16 and 14 is in the SEC feels a little light for a top 8 seed, but the fact that they're again number 2 in the RPI
Mhm.
kind of offsets that.
So let's talk about Kentucky. Okay. So
Mhm.
every year the committee comes in there and goes, you need to play more road games. You need to go out and do some stuff in non-conference. So what does Kentucky do? They go out and play people in non-conference. They play half their pre-conference schedule on the road. No one in the SEC does that. They do it in other leagues, but it's in the SEC. You don't typically have to do that to get the RPI. Well, they went out and did it basically because last year they were 52 or whatever they were and missed out on a bid. So, that's what's going on here. And I think the committee is going to look at that and they're going to reward it. It's just a question of how much do they reward it.
That said, they only went 11 and 11 on the road. So, they played a lot of road games, but didn't necessarily do great in them.
Well, they won those pre-conference games, those road series.
Yeah, that's
if they
true.
dropped them, they're in midweek.
Yeah. No, I think that's the choice. I think Kentucky, just again, RPI is strong in this one. RPI is strong in this one, Marcus, and then Coastal with a number 13 RPI won the Sun Belt. Feels like a number 10 here.
And now it gets hard. Okay, for me, I like Miami in this group. I like
18 ACC wins.
Where they are in the conference, and then taking the series over Duke this weekend was important. And then it's a whole bunch of teams, right? Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, Indiana State, Oklahoma State, Texas, West Virginia, Boston College. Who am I leaving? Duke.
Yep.
There's a group. Dallas Baptist. There's just
Oregon
a group
State
of teams here. Oregon State. Yeah, exactly. And then they all have their strengths and weaknesses, and it's just a question of what will the committee feel is more important with these teams. Yeah. I do think that Auburn with 17 conference wins, and guys, the second half of the year, Auburn won the SEC. Okay.
How about that?
They had the best record in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, 17 conference wins, and they're up to 15 in the RPI, which I think earlier had been kind of a sticking point for them. They were in the 30s for a while. I like Miami and Auburn as the next two teams.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And then we're looking at who's going to win the Big 12, guys. I mean, you got a 3-way tie right now.
Yeah,
it's who's going to come out.
I think I like Oklahoma State right now. I think they would be at the top of my board on those three teams. I think Oklahoma State's getting a little healthier. I mean, they went on the road, whipped up on Oklahoma over the weekend. So I kind of like their momentum going in the tournament.
So I don't know if did they crown a regular season champion based on tiebreaker?
Three-way. All three teams got a championship trophy.
Tri-champions. That's great.
Yeah. They get a trophy and orange slices.
Who's the number 1 seed?
Texas.
Okay.
And the other thing you run into with those three teams, might as well get that discussion out of the way. The problem you run into with those three teams is you have Oklahoma State 20 RPI, Texas 23, West Virginia 24.
Yeah.
Well, West Virginia got swept by Texas. Oklahoma State took 2 or 3 from Texas. West Virginia took 2 or 3 from Oklahoma State.
It's round and round we got it, right?
Yeah, so it's really, I think this is a classic situation where the conference tournament matters.
But I do think that Texas sweeping West Virginia at the very end of the season, to me, that would put Texas ahead of West Virginia in the pecking order.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would have Oklahoma
at the end of the year.
State
right?
Yep.
Ironically enough, my order would be the order they are in RPI.
Oklahoma State, Texas, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can get behind that.
One of these, assuming one of them does advance, at least to the final, is going to host.
Yeah,
it's just maybe 2 of them if they both get there.
Sure. Oklahoma State, Texas, both 12 and 11 against top 50. By the way, West Virginia 10 and 6. So there's not a lot of help in that one either.
No.
We could pick one. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the
I
big
would
is.
slot in
Who's your
Oklahoma
tournament
State here. I would
pick?
slot in
Oak State?
Oklahoma State here and see
Yeah.
where we're after.
Yeah.
a couple more.
I'm
We
good
like
with
them.
that.
Do we like them at 13? Is that the spot?
Yes,
I think so.
the 13th spot.
So we got 3 left.
Yep.
So the question would be,
Mhm.
I mean, we might as well just talk about these other SEC teams while we're here. I mean, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama. I mean,
Right. So
Boston College out of the ACC would be another team here.
and Duke. Right.
And
Yeah.
Duke. Although I think for me, Duke is behind Miami, and they're
Yes.
probably behind BC.
Yeah, I think so too.
Although Duke did win their head-to-head in Brighton, so
right.
that's tough.
Good
It's-
Brighton poll.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm really good at my Massachusetts geography.
So South Carolina is interesting to me because
Mhm.
they have the best metrics. Okay. If you want to look at RPI, you want to look at quality wins, but they're just not playing well right now. And down the
Mhm.
stretch, they have been bad. Okay. They're injured, and I get it. But if you look around the conference and heck, around the country, they're not the only team injured. Okay.
No.
Everybody's having to fight through some stuff, just about everybody. And they just haven't, maybe because of the specific players, but they just haven't been able to cope through it. So for me, they're at the bottom of this group just because of how they're trending at this moment.
And they've lost 9 of their last 11.
But the resume looks great. So it's, what is the committee? How close attention are they paying?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think the fact that they've lost 4 straight series and 9 of the last 11 games, and the fact they're not healthy, sure, that can be an excuse, but also, we've seen before, like the committee will give a team a boost if they've got a key player returning or something. But like, if you're not healthy, that's kind of the opposite. Like what reason do we have to believe that you're like one of the 16 best teams?
Yeah, they do think they're going to get a lot of those hitters back. Now Noah Hall is probably not.
Yeah.
Right. And Sanders could come back, but the hitters they're expecting to get those guys back in some form.
Yeah,
this week and next week.
Mark is not. I wasn't going to throw too much of a curveball at you, but have you looked to see if there's any precedent of a team like faltering down the stretch as much as SC has and still hosting?
I don't track the last 10 games, last 15, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So I don't know. But it used to be part of the criterion. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
They used to have
really?
last 15, last 10.
They took that out? I didn't realize that.
I don't think it's in there anymore.
Interesting.
I will say this about South Carolina is they still have 19 wins against RPI top 50. It's a top 6 RPI. But the committee has a very easy out on South Carolina. Like you could easily just say like they have not been the same team the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And
that's true. Right, that's not a stretch. Yeah. They were one of the best teams in the country. They would be a top 5 type team, if they continued their early pace, but they just haven't.
The fact that they managed to finish just 16 and 13 in the league, given where they were, is kind of shocking. I mean, what a meltdown! What a meltdown!
Yeah, and you're going to get that whole them in Tennessee thing too. And Tennessee just went to Columbia and won the series.
Exactly. I would definitely have them behind Tennessee.
So what do you do with Alabama? Okay. Yeah. Really good RPI. Not so, they even had a week where they weren't in the field and then everything happened and they figured it out. They're 8-2 since the regime change there.
Yeah.
Playing well. And they have some pitching injuries that they're working through as well.
Number 11, the RPI is strong, with momentum, and they have the same number of conference wins as South Carolina. I mean, one more loss because South Carolina had a cancellation.
Rain out, yeah.
But I would have them ahead of South Carolina too. I mean, I think I like Tennessee and Alabama over South Carolina. I don't know what order though for Tennessee versus Alabama.
In the dish today, I had Alabama ahead, and it was the same number of conference wins, and it was an RPI pick. The Tennessee road record, although they did win a series this weekend,
4-12 though.
They were so bad on the road this year.
Alabama 9-9 on the road for what that's worth. Non-conference though, Tennessee 205 non-conference strength of schedule. Alabama 112. Yeah, I like Alabama over Tennessee.
Yeah, that was my SEC pecking order. It's Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina here. Now,
So
obviously, there's not room for all of them. So
yeah, and so I mean, and I think BC deserves to be right in this discussion also. I think I have BC ahead of Duke in the ACC pecking order. I mean, I just think that doing it again as a team in the Northeast that has to play all those games on the road the first 6 weeks of the year, and they went 18-9 on the road. Duke 10-7 on the road. BC's non-conference strength of schedule, remarkably, is just 204, which I don't quite get. I feel like they played a pretty good non-conference schedule, but
they've got some anchors on there.
Yep. Duke has the 16-11 top 50, BC 14-14. I mean, you can certainly go either way on this, but I think I mean, and Duke's also 5 spots lower in the RPI. So for me, I would have BC ahead of Duke. I think I like BC and Alabama as the top teams in these two conferences that are left.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And what order do you want to slot them? I mean, yeah, honestly, it's a guess game.
I
kind of like Alabama over BC.
Yeah, I agree. Bama, BC.
Okay. And then we have one more spot left. What do you think about Indiana State? I mean, it's the same, discussion we have every week, right? They don't have the quality wins. They've run roughshod through their league. It's not a terrible league, but it's not a great league.
Yeah, I mean that 2-9 top 50 continues to stick in my craw.
It's just a big flashing, warning sign.
And DBU has the same issue, 2-7 top 50.
Absolutely.
What about? I mean, for me, that's just a disqualifier for both of those teams. Mm-hmm. What about? So a couple of thoughts here. One is Texas, and one is a second team in the West.
Pac-12. Yeah.
I really feel like, I mean, again, Oregon State going 18-12 in the pack. I get that they probably need to win some games in the conference tournament to get that RPI into the mid to low 20s. Right now they're 30. But I mean, going 18-12 in the pack and finishing second, I think that means something. And they finished very well, really for the last 2/3 of the season. And so they have the momentum factor. For me, I think I would project them to win a couple games and put them in here at 16.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was going to ask you.
Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, when you're looking at conference tournament and you're trying to project a run, okay, pitching health, all right? Or do you have guys that are going to throw, one, and two, are they healthy? And that's the thing. Because, when I'm in the SEC, right, that's where I'm on tomorrow, and I'm looking at all these teams that have injury issues on the mound, and you're trying to kind of project who's going to make a run in this tournament, and it's all about pitching health. Right, that's how you handicap this, and I would think the same thing you could apply that at other places. And just curious about OSU's.
I do think so. They're a team they're kind of like Duke, where they're built from the back forward and the bullpen. Mm-hmm. The bullpen's the strength of their staff. There's the rotation isn't going to scare anybody. It's almost openerish sometimes, but their bullpen's really good, and they can mix and match it and get through some stuff. And their offense is hot. It's good and hot, and it's an offensive context down there in Arizona. I think they fit well down there.
One issue I kind of bring up with Oregon State here, guys, is as of right now, their RPI's at 30, and the other thing I think of is they finished second in the Pac-12, but they weren't competitive in that title race.
Yeah, but 18-12 is still good.
They were 5 games out. I mean,
but 18-12 is still good. I mean, we're talking about 18-12 in the SEC and ACC, and be like, oh, that's good. That's really good. Pac-12 is not the SEC or ACC, but it's it's solid this year. 18-12 is good. I mean, it's just Stanford was great.
Yeah, I mean, the question would be: would you rather have a second Pac-12 team, or would you rather have those guys or a team like Texas who actually won the championship?
Yeah,
I guess that's the other. I mean, maybe Texas is the safer pick, and Texas is higher in the RPI. They're 23. Oregon's 30. Oregon State's 30. Texas maybe is the play. I mean, and there's West Virginia. I mean, it's crazy that West Virginia went from number 6 last week to being out of the top 16, but life comes at you fast.
That's happened before already this year with us.
Yeah.
And then there's also Tennessee, guys. I mean,
yeah, there is also Tennessee and Duke, but I would probably Tennessee ahead of Duke. But yeah, I think I like the idea of a Texas or an Oregon State for this last spot.
Yeah.
I mean, is Indiana a dark horse? A 27 RPI, 40 wins.
But Maryland won the league, right?
Yeah. The other problem Indiana has are 6-11 against top 50.
You're right. Never mind. I forgot Maryland.
That's kind of a disqualifier for me.
That's fair. Okay, just thought I'd bring it up. Yeah, Texas.
Although in the spirit of fairness here, I mean, it's not like like Oklahoma State and Texas are 12-11, so it's not like it's it's not like the difference there is massive.
We do have a lot of 40-win mid-majors that are in the discussion that I don't think I would put ahead of these teams. Like East Carolina won their league, got to 41 wins. UConn won their league, got to 40 wins. Those teams are 24 and 25 in the RPI. It's just not enough quality wins.
Yeah, and Campbell's pretty close.
Campbell,
too.
22 RPI. Did they wind up? They did win their league, right? Yes, they beat Upstate yesterday, despite losing that series, so they won the league. But yeah, I think Texas or Oregon State would be my 2 finalists for this last spot. I mean, like I said, I've outlined the reasons I like Oregon State, but I think Texas maybe is the safer play at this point. And
Texas doesn't have as far to. Yeah. Sorry. I was going to say Texas doesn't have as far to climb. I think while they might have to get a little higher in the RPI, Oregon State's got a long way to go. I mean, they need to climb 10 spots. Okay.
Yeah, I think 5 to 10. I think if they get to 25 with an 18-12 conference record, I think it's a different story.
You better not have any other contenders.
Perhaps
that would be my concern.
Does geography
get to 20,
geography a second team in the West? Does that matter?
It matters to the people out west. It matters to the people on the committee who have to go back and talk to their constituents about how they fought for their groups. Does it matter to
programming?
No. Does it matter to the field, of how we want to slot it and how we want to represent it? I think those guys are looking to get the top 16 for the host, right?
Well, let's go Texas then.
Yeah, and the fact that you get a regional in Texas probably is more important than getting a regional out west.
Yeah, and just as somebody who slots teams to host sites, having one in Texas helps.
All right, let's do it. Let's do Texas 16. This wasn't as painful as I thought. Only 23 minutes, and we're through our 16 hosts.
South Carolina and Tennessee are still.
Yeah, South Carolina, Tennessee.
Let's just say this: I will not be surprised if the committee throws us a curveball and one of those 2 teams is.
Wouldn't even really be a curveball.
Oh, there are defensible cases to be made.
Absolutely. And I think those teams are right there in the mix, and we'll see what happens in Hoover and all these other conference tournaments. There's a lot on the line still. Duke's still very much in the mix. All those teams and those mid majors we talked about are all.
Keep it on Southern Miss too, guys. Like the fact that they're sitting at 28 in the RPI, they're a team that is probably rating really well at the rack. They're red hot right now. They're a team that if they make a run in that Sun Belt tournament, I wouldn't be shocked if they get one of those spots.
If they had won their league, I would have felt a little differently, but the fact that they did wind up finishing behind Coastal matters.
It's something how if Coastal was just not quite as good, Southern Miss might be a host.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just kind of one of those years. Because Coastal wasn't this good last year. Good, they weren't this good.
But like for me, if we're looking at these mid-major teams, Southern Miss, they have to be in the pecking order. They have to be behind UConn, ECU, Campbell, DBU, Indiana State, because all those teams won their leagues and have better RPIs.
Yeah, right now.
But I mean,
like, want to run in a better league, and I'm jumping them.
Maybe. I mean, again,
depending on what the other teams do, right? I mean,
the regular season conference title is a significant feather in all those other teams' caps that Southern Miss is not going to be able to make up. Like they can make a deep run.
Is it though? Is it?
I think
Is
it
it
matters.
more important to win a 8th or 9th or 10th best league than to be a game out of the 5th best league and then go on and
Yeah.
win the conference tournament?
Yeah.
I would
I
argue
guess
that, man.
if their RPI jumps up, then okay, you're right. Like,
Okay.
but like that's a team for me that they need to get into the teens,
Yeah.
to have a shot.
Okay.
All right, let's go to part 2. That was easy. Let's
Alrighty.
go. Conference by conference look at the at-large picture in automatic bids as well. Starting with the America East, we've got Maine won the league by 3 games. They will remain our pick. The American Athletic Conference, East Carolina remains the only team here. They did win their league. Nobody else close to at-large striking distance. The A10.
One other team, the one kind of notable thing about the American outside of ECU guys is the fact that just Houston is a team with just 2 digits in their RPI, 96.
Yeah,
that's kind of crazy.
Everybody else in the 100 plus. A10. So St. Joseph's winds up winning the league over Davidson by a game and a half. I say we make that change. Go Hawks.
Yeah. Those guys going ham.
All right, so we will make that change. And we will move on to the ACC. Let me make sure I've updated all my lists here. St. Joseph's. Okay. All right, ACC. We've got.
Do we have any changes?
I don't think so either. Well, I guess actually. So we should put NC State on the board right now.
NC State, moves onto the board.
Yeah, we said they needed to sweep Pittsburgh, and they swept Pittsburgh. So
And
13
remains on the bubble.
Yeah, at 13 and 16 with a 26 RPI, NC State's very much alive in this. And I know the 9 and 17 top 50 is a blemish for a bubble team, but I mean, like if you have to rank Notre Dame and NC State, I guess you still go Notre Dame, but that 47 RPI for an ACC bubble team.
I mean that's what I was about to say. Is like Notre Dame lost the head-to-head to NC State, and they played Pitt and Wake. If they lose both those games, I think they're out.
Yeah, I would agree. They're
probably in the 50s.
Remind me, Aaron, when I looked at the ACC bracket, I'm blanking on it now, but NC State's got a tough group, right? Their pool. Wasn't it Duke and someone
Clemson,
else
wasn't it?
that's good?
I think it was Duke and Clemson.
Let me pull up the.
Well, I got it right here. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
It is Duke and Miami. Sorry.
Duke and Miami, yeah.
Duke and Miami, I mean, that's tough.
Easy.
Right. Yeah, Notre Dame, at least you would think has a
winnable
game against Pitt.
Quality wins, right?
Quality wins, yep, for sure. Yeah, they got a chance. I mean, let's put them on the board, and if we've got a soft bubble, we can come back to it. But Sun. So Lipscomb.
I think we got to flip it.
Flip it, by all means, by 3 games.
Yep.
Lipscomb wins it, and obviously FGCU will not be an at-large team, finishing 3 games back with a 68 RPI.
Yep.
All right, Big 12. Here we go. West Virginia, Texas, Oklahoma State tie for the league championship. They're all in. TCU now got to 13 and 11. Jumped into to number 38 in the RPI. So they go from our last team in to a pretty secure team in at this point on this bubble. Kansas State finishes 13-11 with a 53 RPI. They're certainly on the board. Texas Tech finishes 12-12 with a 44 RPI, and Oklahoma 11-13 with a 36 RPI. We had all these teams in last week with a soft bubble. What's our pecking order for obviously TCU first, and then what?
Kansas State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma. Because Kansas State has series wins over Tech and Oklahoma.
Yeah, so I agree with that order, even though the RPI is a little bit of a spot of bother for the Wildcats, but I think they're okay. And then, Texas Tech, Oklahoma. I agree with you on that order.
TCU and Kansas State will have a rematch on Wednesday morning.
Oklahoma versus like an NC State would be an interesting bubble case, which we can perhaps debate later if we need to.
Yeah.
All right, on to the Big East. We've got UConn, 1 bid league. UConn does win the league by a game and a half over Xavier. Xavier 57 RPI, 14-7 in the league. Just 3-13 top 50 is going to be a disqualifier for them if they wind up not winning the automatic bid. I don't see them getting a bid. Did we lose the Nerdmaster General? What are we going to do if we don't have the Nerdmaster General?
Oh no, he's gone black.
Oh boy, we've got a spinning.
At least he didn't. At least he didn't go. At least he didn't go plaid. Hashtag Spaceballs reference.
That's well played. you throw those in there every once in a while. Pull the string on me. I love it. I love it. Marcus with a spinning beach ball of death here.
I think behind that beach ball, I think he has NC State in.
Yeah, he might. Well, we can keep
going here.
A little bit here.
Big South.
Yeah, Campbell, obviously,
yeah,
and that's all.
Although, if you're a fan of stolen bids, keep it on Upstate. They took the series from Campbell over the weekend. They're 21-6 in that league.
Yeah,
36-20 overall. Keep an eye on the Spartans.
Gardner Webb's frisky too. I could see one of those teams pulling it. But yeah, Upstate in particular, I think they're a good club. I mean, dangerous. So yeah, stolen bid watch there. But Upstate just 88th in the RPI, so not that large contender. Hey, okay, I think Mark's probably resetting here, so we'll just keep going. Big Ten, Indiana, Maryland, Iowa, and I think that remains the case. Rutgers is done.
Yeah, boy, they had a rough weekend. They went on the road, or they lost a midweek game, and then went on the road and lost 2 out of 3 to Minnesota, and their RPI dropped to 61 with a 2-1 or 2-8 record against top 50. That not only are they like on the bubble, but they're way out.
Way out. Which they had been in our bubble discussion for a while, but now they're just way out.
I feel like the Big Ten now is pretty much set in terms of its number of bids.
Unless we get a stolen bid now, like what if a Nebraska or Rutgers, somebody wins
it? Michigan.
Yep, one of those teams could win it, and then I think this league gets 4 because I do believe Maryland, Indiana, Iowa are all in good shape. Onward to the Big West. How about the Tritons, Kendall? The fighting Tritons, not eligible for the NCAA tournament, are now leading that league by a game and a half over Santa Barbara and Fullerton.
Yeah,
with 1 week to go.
So here's what I'll say, Fitt. I kind of like UCSB as the auto here.
Yes,
I don't like the way Cal State Fullerton's trending.
Sure.
And Fullerton needs to be on the bubble. I mean, they're 65 in the RPI now.
Fullerton's out. Kendall, they're not even on the bubble anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get in at 65.
Well, and the fact that they lost 9 games in a row before winning Sunday against Long Beach to not get swept, like no way at this point. They're not getting a bid unless they get the auto bid. See if we can send a lifeline to the NMG. What about Irvine? We had them in last week as a third team. I'm going to take Fullerton out.
Yeah, I like Irvine still in there. I still, even though they're 5th in their conference, I still love the fact that they're 5-1 against top 50, which isn't that loud. But I mean, they got a series sweep on the road against Arizona State. They're being hampered a little bit because Arizona State's RPI has dropped. But again, they're undefeated against the Pac-12. It's pretty loud.
Yep. I agree. So, yeah, the fact they're climbing the standings, we said that they needed to really dominate their last 6 games because they're against bad teams. They were going to be RPI sucks. They did, in fact, sweep UC Davis this weekend. So they've accomplished that.
Did what they needed to do.
They still have Riverside, though, who's 11-38, and that's a home series. God. So that is going to be costly. But hopefully the RPI doesn't sink too far. I like the resume overall. And the fact that you got to feel like if they can sweep Riverside, get to 19-11 lead, maybe that offsets any RPI, deterioration there. So 2-bid league, Santa Barbara and Irvine, no Fullerton. On we go to the CAA. We've been projecting UNCW to win this league. They did, in fact, win the regular season title, 20-8. A game.
William and Mary over the weekend.
Yeah, a game ahead of Northeastern. Wilmington, 56th in the RPI. We got the Nerdmaster General back in the house. This is exciting.
Back.
Yeah, I had to switch computers. I don't know what's going on.
I don't, but now you're in the bottom position in our screen. I don't like that. I kind of liked you in the upper right.
Yeah, I'm a top.
Okay.
Mark likes it on bottom.
All right, listen. Let's move it along here. We're on the CAA. UNCW, 56 in the RPI. If they don't win the automatic bid, Marcus, can they get in with the regular season title under their belts?
Yeah, they would need some help.
Probably so. Northeastern, finishes 20-10 in the league, 31 RPI. They're safe. What about Elon? Is Elon done enough to get onto the bubble? Or 60 RPI, just a little light still?
Not yet. If they're going to run in the tournament, though, it could get fun.
Finished 19-9. Actually, so I guess by percentage points, they finished ahead of Northeastern. Northeastern with a 667 winning percentage, Elon 679. So Northeastern finished third. 6-6 top 50. I mean, Elon's got some things, but yeah, they probably need to win some games just because of that RPI. As a non-conference champion with a 66 RPI or 60 RPI, they need to do a little work there. 2 bids. We'll move it along. Conference USA. DBU.
Yeah, UTSA down to 64.
Yeah. So we had this as a 1-bid league last week, and I think that remains the case.
Yep.
All right. To the horizon. Wright State. Won it by 4 games over Oakland. 22-8. Wright State. Or 83 RPI. I mean, it's probably going to wind up as a 4 seed that you don't necessarily want as your 4 seed if you're a host. Ivy League comes down to Penn versus Harvard. Do I have that right? Penn versus Princeton. I'm sorry.
Princeton.
Penn is 2-0. Yeah, so I would go with Penn.
Yes, which
Penn's beating Columbia and Harvard.
Yep, and we've got that from last week, so we'll stick with Penn. Excuse me. Let me get myself ready. On to the MAC. Hey guys, why haven't you guys been talking up the Fairfield Stags enough? I mean, how did you not see this coming?
Put some respect on Bill Courier's name.
Yeah.
Fairfield
Stag party.
Fairfield wins the league by 1.5 over Quinnipiac and Canisius. The Bronx fall to 4th place, 2 games back. Make that change. Let's go with Stags. Fairfield replacing Ryder.
Yeah, it's a great hotel too.
You know what? I mean, it's a middle tier hotel. It's fine.
Well, it depends on which one you go to. There are very nice ones, and there's not some more budget options.
The Mid-American is Kent State winning the league by 5 games over Ball State and Central Michigan.
Yeah, how about
finishing the year on a 5-game winning streak, sweeping Ball State. Emphatic statement for the Golden Flashes. So that remains our pick in the Mid-American. On to the Missouri Valley, we've got Indiana State, and this is a 1-bid league unless, of course, somebody else wins the auto bid. Next best RPI team is Missouri State at 76 with an 18-9 league record, not at large. So 1 bid. To the Mountain West, we had Air Force last week.
Yeah,
well, that didn't
they
go
dropped
well.
a series to UNLV. I mean, it's just wide open.
It is wide open. San Jose State and San Diego State tie for the regular
and
season
even
title.
Fresno. I mean, they're all right there.
I think I like. Gosh, who do I like? Just trying to make some sense of these head-to-heads and decide who we think is going to win this conference tournament. Let's go with San Jose State. They actually have a winning record overall, which the Aztecs don't. Aztecs are 24-27. San Jose State 27-24. So let's make that change. San Jose State replaces Air Force. 1-bid league, of course. Okay. The NEC, of course, is Central Connecticut, winning it the league by 4 games over Wagner. 25-5 showing. Well done, Blue Devils. Obviously, 1-bid league, though. They need to win the conference tournament. Ohio Valley Conference, we had Little Rock last week. Morehead State winds up atop the standings, 16-7.
Took that series in Little Rock over the weekend.
Exactly. Took 2 games. The finale was canceled. So let's make that change. We will go with Morehead State. 1-bid league. Onward. Pac-12. So we've got Stanford and the Beavers in. Washington is in, of course, 17-12 with a 33 RPI. Washington did blow its hosting chances, though, this weekend, I think, by losing that home series to Cal. The RPI is still comparable to Oregon State, but they had to win that series. USC's in with a 17-13 league record, 51 RPI. I know that's not
head-to-head
slam
series
dunk.
win over Arizona State and Oregon and went 5-1 against those two teams.
I know that's not a slam dunk RPI for an at-large team, 51, but for a Pac-12 team with 17 wins, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Arizona State bubble, 16-13 in the league with a 50 RPI. The Ducks 16-14 with a 39 RPI. That's the end of our Pac-12 bubble. Arizona State has some interesting things. What was it Coach Rooney told us about? They've won. They go.
I think they're 6-3
and 1 or something in their conference series. They won 6-4 maybe in their conference series. They finished the year with a series win against UCLA. But I mean, against the better teams in the league, they got swept at USC. They got swept at home by Stanford. They lost 2 out of 3 at Oregon. Those were all in the last month. They did take 2 out of 3 from Oregon State. That's really what they're hanging their resume on. They split with Washington on the road, 2 games. So they got swept by UC Irvine. They got swept in 2 midweek games at Oklahoma State. They lost a series to Mississippi State.
Yeah, I mean, their non-conference resume is very, very iffy.
It basically comes down to a 3-2 record against Oregon State and Washington. So I don't know. I mean, they're on the board, but I guess they're behind Oregon for me.
Yeah.
But Oregon also on the bubble probably, but Oregon probably okay with this bubble.
I think Oregon's probably okay.
Yeah.
In the current state of the bubble.
Yep. Okay. Patriot League. Army. This conference tournament is ongoing. Army can close it out as we record this on Sunday. They're playing tomorrow for the league title. So they won the league by 7 games though. So we're gonna go ahead and assume that they take it.
And by the way, Mark, just looking at this worksheet as we go along, you were very much right on the bubble. We're at 64 right now, and we're probably not adding anybody the rest of the way. So
amazing, soft as Charmin. Listen, no free ads, Charmin. If you want to be,
you got to pay for it. You want some of this Nerdcast marquee value here? You got to pony up.
Right. That's right. We're a Scots show here. SEC. I don't know that there's a change here. Ellis, in no particular order. Just reading down the list.
A&M helped themselves. Yeah.
A&M helped themselves. Yes, they were very much on the bubble, kind of tenuous. They finished 14-16 with a 34 RPI. I mean, they're in pretty darn good shape now. From the West, you've got Arkansas, LSU, Auburn, Alabama, A&M. From the East, you've got Florida, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, and there's really no other teams to talk about.
Georgia and Missouri are too far away.
Yeah. So that's pretty easy. How about that? SEC being an easy bubble situation. That's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
SoCon, we had Mercer last week. It's been musical chairs between Mercer, Wofford, and Stanford. Stanford wins the league by 2 games over Mercer, 3 games over Wofford. So let's make that change.
Yeah. How about the job Tony David's doing there, man? Everybody comes in and grabs all his best players, and he just keeps winning.
I think he's a really good coach, and I think he's done an awesome job. I mean, for sure, he's got a lot of character, charisma.
Mm-hmm.
Good dude. Yep. Sanford replaces Mercer. Okay. Southland. We had Nichols, and Nichols did win the league by a game over Incarnate Word. So we'll go ahead and ride that one.
Stick with them.
Yeah. SWAC. Alabama State. So they've got the tournament starts Wednesday this week. They are the top seed after going 26-4 in the league, which is pretty good. They got to 39 wins, 39-16, a 122 RPI for a SWAC team. Very impressive. That's not easy to do. So they're good. Keep an eye on those guys. The Oral Robert Athletic League. I'm going to go with ORU here, guys. They did lose a game in conference this year. They did. They did not go undefeated. So I don't know if that's a cause for concern for you guys here, projecting them to win the automatic bid. 23-1. They are vulnerable. I'm going to go with them though. I don't care what you guys say. 43-11 overall too. I mean, wow, what a year. Our man Patrick Ebert, by the way, has covered Oral Roberts a couple times in his mid-major weekly notebooks. Shout out to Patrick Ebert, just crushing the coverage this year.
Yeah,
Our team is awesome.
he gets after it.
Yep. Sunbelt boys, we've got Southern Miss and Coastal in already, and Troy would be the third team clearly with an 18-12 league record and a 35 RPI. Texas State had been they were our first team out last week.
Yeah.
They are currently 17-13 in the league with a 52 RPI. They did win their last series against ULM, but it was at home and they did not sweep it. They only took 2 out of 3. ULM is not good, so that didn't really help them. They lost a midweek game to TCU as well, which we had talked about last week as being important. Should we add them to the board? They finished 5th.
I think so. I mean, I think you can look at them and the Cajuns both. If they were to make a run in the tournament, I think either one can play their way in.
Cajuns, though, 67th in the RPI with an 18-12 league record. For me, it's too early to put them on the board. Like, I agree with you that they can make a run if they need that RPI to really go up. 67 is right now a non-starter.
Yeah, it's a lot of room to climb.
Yeah. All right, West Coast Conference. We've got LMU wins the league by 4 games over Santa Clara and Portland and San Diego. We're all tied for second place at 17-10. So we'll stick with the Lions. No change there. And the WAC, guys.
Grand Canyon.
How about this? The Lopes, after Sam Houston had been kind of in the driver's seat for most of the year. But very end, the Lopes reel off a little 13-game winning streak and win the league by a half game over Sam Houston. So let's make that change, boys. Let's go to the Lopes.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
All right. All right, so that's 65 teams for 64 spots. I think we can handle this.
Yeah, one team, huh? So the candidates would be NC State, would be Texas State,
Oklahoma,
Yeah,
Arizona State. I would have
I
Arizona
think it's
State
Texas State, honestly.
Yeah, the Sunbelt team.
I would agree.
RPI in the 50s.
And the RPI is not where it needs to be.
Yep. So there we go. Texas State remains the first team out of the field. The last 4 in here, guys. We're doing our ladder, starting with Team 61 or Team 64, our most vulnerable team here.
Oklahoma
or NC State.
I would say NC State just because of who they have to play.
Yeah, I would go NC State, Oklahoma, Arizona State.
Yeah,
and then Texas Tech maybe, or Oregon.
Notre Dame, perhaps.
Notre Dame. Yeah, good call. Yeah. Yep. Notre Dame might be ahead of Arizona State for me, just because of where the RPI is.
Yeah. Okay.
And they got to win some games, I think. Because, we say this every week, but if you don't listen every week, and I don't know why you wouldn't, but still, the bubble's going to shrink most likely. We always have at least 2 stolen bids.
Yeah.
Last year we had 5. We've had as many as 7. Hopefully, when you get carnage like that, it really, really shrinks that bubble, makes it tight, and you have teams that normally would get in don't. So stay tuned to D1Baseball. We'll be all over watching.
It's going to be, it's going to be hard to find 3 more teams to fill out our first 4 out. That's how soft this bubble is. I guess Louisiana's got to be one of them. Yeah.
Fullerton, maybe?
Yeah, Fullerton, I guess.
Xavier?
No.
Elon,
yeah.
I actually have Elon at 66, right behind Texas State for me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I mean, you don't have a whole bunch of SEC, ACC teams to pull from. I think they're pretty much, despite the RPI, they're out of it.
Yeah, we had talked about Georgia Tech last week. They're in this mix. They got swept by Virginia to finish 12-18. They are dunzo. Virginia Tech finished 12-17. They're donezo. Barring automatic bid runs here. Just scanning through it. I'm.
What if UTSA makes a run through Conference USA?
Okay, UTSA.
yeah.
They're the second best team in that league. You would expect them to win some games this week. I don't know if winning those games is really going to help the RPI, though. It's not going to hurt it, of course, but it's going to help it enough to get in under 50.
They're probably right there with Elon. Probably both those teams maybe ahead of Louisiana. I don't know, just based on RPI.
I could say that, yeah.
Elon. So Texas State, Elon, UTSA, or UTSA, Elon. Elon 6-6 top 50. UTSA just 1-3. So I would have Elon, and then UTSA, and then either Louisiana or Fullerton. I guess Fullerton.
Okay.
They are still 18-9 in the league, but boy, they're really falling apart. 9-8 top 50 though. That's something. Kendall, you good with that?
Yep.
4.
Sure am.
All
what
right.
a very weak bubble.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I know this has happened before where we've got
does.
End of the year.
It does. And then we're going to meet on Friday and go, oh, where did that weak bubble go?
Yeah.
Right. It always
happens. Yeah. Although we kind of went over it the other day, there's really only about 4 or 5 leagues that you could potentially have stolen bids in.
Oh, there's more than that, man.
No, yeah, there's definitely more than that.
Now, if you're just talking about teams that are 1-bid leagues, could become 2. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
but you could have multiple teams that are leagues that are going to get 3 or 4, right? And exactly. 10, there's a precedent there. Of somebody coming in and taking the automatic, and then getting an extra team.
Yeah, and plus, you've got like the leagues like the Sun Belt, which has a few. So it's who knows what could happen there. The American, you've got Campbell, East Carolina, UConn, Dallas Baptist, Indiana State. I just reeled off 5 who are all in the top 25 in the RPI. That and then you've got the Sun Belt. There's a lot of stolen bid potential. CAA, although CAA probably would just remain a 2-bid league.
Yeah, if it wasn't Northeastern, UNC Wilmington's not getting in.
Not as a third team. No. If Northeastern wins the tournament and UNCW loses to him in the finals, let's say, I can see
an argument
again. Yeah. In the soft bubble. All right, boys, that was fun. If you had 65 minutes and you hammered the under, you win because we're only at the 52-minute mark. I think it really helped when Mark, you blacked out for several minutes. We didn't have you blabbering on, gumming up the works.
Yeah, that's true.
So thanks to Mark.
Yeah, I still don't know what happened. Just I could still hear you, and you guys were just yelling at me and making fun of me, and it was just like normal. But I couldn't respond because when I did, you didn't listen, or maybe if you did, you didn't react. But so anyway,
you're just not funny, Mark. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Well, Monday night at Brockscat Brewery in Hoover, Alabama, everyone's gonna see just how funny I am because I'm gonna get up and do stand up before the show starts. It's gonna be hilarious. Dad jokes just right and left, man.
Mark's already got it ready. A horse walks into a bar.
By the long face.
Oh man, legendary! Yeah. You're a legend. Guys, let's wrap it up. Busy week ahead. Conference tournaments coming. Most sleepless night week of the year. I always say. We're gonna get through it though. We're gonna power through. We're gonna have.
Yeah, we'll try to do
time of the year.
Nerdcast on Friday, but we'll do a daily field. But we'll try to do the Nerdcast on Friday.
Yeah, we'll see how the schedules work out for that. But we'll definitely be updating the field each night. So check that out. D1Baseball.com. Thanks to everybody for listening to us do this nonsense week in, week out all year long. It's been another fun year. In case this is our last Nerdcast, I don't think it will be. I think we'll
at least do one.
Of course not. We got
of course.
2 left in us.
Well, at the very that's true. Sunday night. So there's more to come, guys. Stay tuned to the channel. We'll be back. Mash that like button. Hammer that subscribe button. Button. That's how my wife says it. I think it's funny.
Button.
Guys, thanks again. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll do it again soon. Until then, so long.